How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today, listen, the shine of Denver has worn off a little bit, but I'm here to give you 7 reasons not to give up on moving to Denver, Colorado. We're jumping into it, starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everts, and listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver metro area, this is the channel for you. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and notification icon as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little educational here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the Front Range's most talented realtors. And we are helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. They're winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get into 7 reasons not to give up on moving to Denver, Colorado. All right, so over the last 2.5 years, I have made over 100 videos for people moving to or around the Denver metro area. And the fact is, in that period of time, I've also had hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations about Denver, about the state it is in now, where it used to be and where it's going. And the reality was, in making this video, I wanted to have a genuine conversation about what is going on in Denver right now and why, despite the fact that the city might not be at its pinnacle, at the best it's ever been, there's still a lot of reasons to consider living in Denver and why many people who already live here say they wouldn't live anywhere else. Now, we're going to get into some good and some bad, but first and foremost, the reason to not give up on moving to Denver, Colorado is that from a location standpoint, there are few cities that encompass what Denver does. When you talk about a city that has decent size to it. No, we're not a Chicago, we're not a New York, we're not in LA. But as far as mid-sized cities, we have all of the elements, all of your restaurants, all of your concert venues, all of your sporting events, everything you could want there. And we're 15 minutes from the most majestic mountains the United States have to offer. So when we talk about that location, that's never going away. Denver is always going to have an element where you have a great city with a lot of fun things to do there, and mountains and regions that you can go to within a very short distance driving. And on top of all of that, as you live in this community, you can find, whether you're buying or renting, places that look at the mountains and look at the city. Location is everything. We talk about it all the time, and Denver's location will always be one of the premium of premiums nationwide. Now, you can find the perfect location and still struggle to find a way to live in a location. So the second reason you should not give up on moving to Denver, Colorado is the massive amount of opportunity there is for entrepreneurship. So Denver and Colorado, for that matter, is really strong for small businesses and startups. There are over 100 programs just in the state of Colorado for tax benefits for self-employed people. Denver is a hot button for it. Up north, Boulder, Fort Collins, both very big communities for entrepreneurship, and you feel it in the culture within Denver. When we talk about the job market, one thing that kind of gets missed in all of this is we can talk about the different industries, but entrepreneurship is a huge aspect of the Denver economic system. Colorado continues to be strong in that venture. So again, if you're thinking about operating your own business or moving it to a new location, Denver should be near the top of your list to consider. The third reason I would give you today is that growth has slowed in Denver. Now, you might hear that and go, well, why should I move there? If it's slowed down, why would I want to go somewhere? Obviously, it's not as hot as it used to be. Well, for multiple years in the 2010s, Denver's population growth was between 2 and 3%. Now, when you talk about a metro area with multi-millions of people, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people moving into this area over a period of time. Currently, that percentage has dropped to just over 1% the last handful of years. What does this mean? It means that Denver finally has a chance, and the metro area for that matter, finally has a chance to take a breath. Now, we're dealing with some pretty significant issues we're not going to hide from. We've had an increase in crime throughout the metro area in many regions. We've seen an increase in our homeless situation over that same period of time. A variety of reasons and causes for that. We more recently have seen a migrant issue. We have a lot of migrants who are being bussed into Denver, and that is spreading into different communities, Aurora, Lakewood, where I live. And so the idea of how all of this is going to be managed is still part of Denver's process. Now, within that, you have people moving to Denver, typically from more expensive regions of the country, and you have people who have been in Denver for a while recognizing that they want to move on. So the fact that that population has stabilized to some extent, Colorado and the Denver metro are still growing, but that stabilization has allowed us in some ways to take a look at our situation and address how do we catch up. One of the biggest challenges Denver has had for a long time is its infrastructure. There's only so much we can do with highways, water, how much water we have. So that slowdown has given developers a chance to really recognize what steps need to be taken. Is there a lot of work to be done? Absolutely. Are people going to watch this video and comment on the crime and the homeless situation and the migrants, sanctuary cities, all of those things? Yes, they are. Currently, we hit kind of the bottom of Denver during the pandemic. Downtown Denver was a not so nice place to be during 2020, 2021. Improvement is starting to be seen, and because Denver and that growth has slowed down, they actually have a chance to address it. The fourth reason you shouldn't give up on moving to Denver, Colorado, and that is just look, I'm going to give you a list of all the corporations that have headquarters or major offices in Denver or again the metro area. When you look at Denver, when you get up to Boulder, where there is a huge Google location, you get up to Broomfield, where there are dozens of massive tech companies, finance companies, healthcare. When you talk about an epicenter of finance and economics, Denver and the metro area is that. Colorado in general is a hotbed for companies moving here. Talked about entrepreneurship and the fact that there are a lot of tax benefits there. Same thing for these corporations. Here come more comments on me. But the fact is, Denver is a hotbed. The metro area, again, stretching all the way up past the metro area, up to Fort Collins, down to Colorado Springs. More companies are moving here. So again, we could talk about the problems Denver faces, but those are huge corporations investing in Denver, investing in Colorado, and that's a pretty darn good reason to consider moving somewhere. The fifth reason I'm going to give you is new communities and new development that are taking place. Now, when you look at Denver, you're going to see that it is split by I-25, our north-south highway. You got the west side of town, you got the east side of town. Now, most development that you are going to see is either going to be taking place in north, south, or east, and there's a whole heck of a lot of room for Denver moving east. The west side of town, we're limited because we run into a little thing called those Rocky Mountains that I mentioned earlier in the video. But when you talk about development in Denver, a lot of people had this idea that Denver's full. Now, granted, do we need a lot more new builds and a lot more construction? We do. There is still a housing shortage when it comes to Denver, both for buying and for renting. But when we talk also about opportunity, there's a lot of untapped land, especially as you start moving east outside of Denver, where there's a lot of flat land that developers are taking a look at. There's huge opportunity for more growth. You also have different developments that will be occurring very close to Denver. So for example, where Elitch Gardens currently stands, and Elitch Gardens is our amusement park right there in the heart of Denver, really close to Ball Arena, where the Nuggets, Denver Nuggets and Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche play. I gotta say the full teams as though you don't know they exist in Denver, but that's all right. So pretty soon, Elitch's is going to be relocated, and within that, there will be a huge development with, again, more homes, shops, a lot more things to do. So when we talk about what is happening in Denver, there are a lot of positives that are occurring that people moving here now are going to benefit from in the coming years. Number 6, and this is something that I think locals kind of, we just take for granted because we're used to it, but people moving here rave about it all the time, and that is how close we are to really amazing locations that everybody else in the nation, if not the world, fly to Denver to go see, and we can drive to in 2-3 hours. But going up to Aspen, Vail, Breckenridge, Glenwood Springs, Estes Park, you have a much longer drive to Telluride, which is an amazing place that you should go visit, but just because the way the roads work, you can't get there in 3 hours unless you're flying. But I mean, so many locations, hell, even going up to Boulder, which is 45 minutes from Denver, we might take for granted. And again, here come more comments because people always have to comment on things like travel time and going to Boulder. But I mean, even Boulder is such a great town that people travel to Colorado for all the time to go and visit. And we can get there in, I'm gonna say 45 minutes, and somebody is gonna comment that it's 30 minutes. I'm just having a little fun today. So again, I mentioned the very first thing being location. And now I mention, again, that location benefit again. If we've got just a crazy amount of beautiful amenities and locations that we can get to in a quick drive, whether it's a day, a weekend, you name it, they're right there. And everybody else has to travel to Colorado, spend flight money, ticket, all those things to go see what we have right at our fingertips. Number 7, and this is to me the biggest and just as real as I can get it. I've said it on countless videos. Denver's not cheap. It is not an inexpensive town. And as the location became more popular, there was a time when Denver was kind of under the radar. Our population in the 80s and 90s was growing, but we were still, I always joke and call us a cow town. There wasn't a lot going on here. It has become expensive over a period of time. There's no doubt. There are some people who will move here and they will struggle, whether they're paying rent or buying a home. They'll struggle to make ends meet. It's not a cheap city. If you can afford to live in the Denver area, if you can truly afford it, it allows for a lifestyle that few cities can compete with. I mentioned that location in the beginning, the fact that you have the city and then you have the mountains. But truly, all of the things that you can experience in Denver and in a city that again has not hit its pinnacle, that has better days in its future, if you can afford Denver, it provides a lifestyle that few cities, few areas in the world could offer. Again, I'm ready for those comments. I know people are gonna start throwing out different locations, and that's fine. But man, there is a reason that people who can afford Denver and who live here now will tell you, I can't think of anywhere else I would wanna live. And despite it all, and part of the reason I made this video was, a lot of backlash about what's going on in Denver. A lot of heat about, Denver's past. It's got, again, too much crime, too much this, too much that, smog, all the things. And is Denver perfect? Hell no, it's not. There are a lot of things that need to be addressed in Denver. There are a lot of challenges we have. And despite it all, US News, as one example, just this December, listed Denver as the hottest housing market in the country. The hottest. Number 1. Of course, 3 out of the top 5 were in North Carolina. So if you're not moving to Colorado, maybe move to North Carolina. I don't know, those are the hot buttons. But we could talk about all the challenges Denver has. And despite it all, it is still one of the most desired locations for people moving here. And that potentially could be a huge benefit to you. Are there reasons not to move to Denver? Absolutely. I've made plenty of videos about that as well. But here's at least 7 really good reasons I hope you consider it. And if you have more, or if you want to debate it, you can leave a comment because I love talking about those. But you could also give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, knowing that I am always the person answering those. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Jimmy Everett. That was 7 reasons not to give up on moving to Denver, Colorado. Until I see you next time,